Hi, everyone. I'm Suzanne Castle from the Sparkle Factor. I'm so excited that it's Training Tuesday, and it's our first Training Tuesday ever to welcome a special guest. And it is my delight and joy to welcome the wonderful Melanie with all of the crazy, wonderful things she does to empower leaders, to add value to people's lives. She hangs out with people like me and Disney executives and everybody in between. And she really is a powerhouse when it comes to thinking about empowering yourself as being a leader wherever you are. And so if you're watching live, good job. I know it's Crazy Tuesday, but let us know you're here in the comments below. And if you're catching replay, do the same thing. Hit hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from, and I'll be monitoring the feed. And I'm going to hand it over to her now, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about her journey and what she's doing, and then do some training for us on how to be an everyday leader. What do you have for us today?
That is a lot. Thanks, Suzanne.
Yes.
First of all, Disney hug, man.
Right? Yes, Disney hug.
The Disney DNA. It's so awesome to know that we're connected that way. I had no idea, but with your last name is Castle. I mean, come on. Right. It's so awesome. Well, we met actually because we're part of John Maxwell team, and we had gotten together just, I think I was in Texas doing something, and we said, we should all have lunch. So we did, and it was awesome to connect because 30,000 people, right? You never know who is in your tribe.
That's right.
But you evolve into the people that really light your spirit. And that's how we have connected. And so I love this opportunity to come on and just be a part of this because my journey started, I could say when I was young, right? We all say when we were young, what influenced us. And so my grandparents were song evangelists. And my father passed away when I was 5. And so I was really connected to them from a lot of reasons, things that I needed to be connected to and influenced by. And we talk about leadership as influence, right?
Yes.
So they took me to church camps all across the country and help me learn how to influence my life, make decisions, and also understand what kind of people to be around, how to have faith through adapting to different kind of people. Because when you're traveling like I was, and I was exposed to so many things, I realized when I started writing my story, Suzanne, that I had gone to 6 schools before I was in 5th grade.
It's just crazy.
So, when people talk about, they're military brats, and so I didn't have any of those experiences, but it's always when you look at somebody else's life and say, well, I didn't have that exactly, but I understand where you're coming from, right? I can understand. And so as I continued to tell my story, I have connected to so many things. So right? It gave me confidence to play ice hockey on a boys' league.
I mean, you're just so incredible for that. I mean, crazy.
But that was just like my mom. We showed up and she said, well, I thought it was field hockey, but do you want to play? And I was like, well, of course. And I just kept doing it because I didn't want to stop. Right. So it's those things that you should have been fearful of that when I thought about being 7 and starting to play on this boys' league and in the dressing room with them. It didn't even faze me because I didn't let it stop me, And so as I say, it begins early. The confidence that you have, whenever you begin to have that confidence, if you continue that consistently in everything that you do, it builds like wildfire, right? And you cannot stop it. And so I look at many people that say, well, I didn't realize, or I wasn't given the opportunity, or nobody let me choose my life. So I hate that.
Me too. I do too.
Nobody let me do it because I say you always have a choice. And when I look back at my life and I thought, well, I didn't really have a choice, but I chose, right? Nobody gave me the freedom to say, will you or won't you? And so I look at those things and I think, well, I connected in school. I was the president of our class. Like I did a lot of things, physical fitness wise, I excelled because I pushed myself, but it was because it was within me. So when I took that into my real life, things like I wanted to go work at Disney World before I went to college.
Right.
So I did it. I went down and I applied. It wasn't like today. I mean, I'm a little older than today's millennials. But today it's kind of set up. It's like your parents are set it up for you. There's a college program. This is a system for it, right? But what I understood about myself was I wanted to add value to people, and I knew that Disney was a place that made me happy. Even though my life was not perfect, Disney made me happy, and I wanted to
Right.
be able to understand what was that like for people? How do you do that? How do you bring that magic? And so I went and worked there and then went to college and went into journalism and then left and so many things happened in between that time. But what is important is I had reconnected to my why. Why did I care about making people happy? Why? And it all just evolves out of, well, it's your own personal story. It's why you do what you do every day. Why do you get up? Right? Do you get up before the alarm clock goes off? And
Right.
then what do you think about first? And mine is always, who can I help? Who can I go serve? What can I do differently? How creative can I be to make an impact in somebody's life? And so holding those values has allowed me to experience amazing things in my life through my journey. And so, a few years ago, I connected to John Maxwell team, and then I don't even know if you know this story, but my great grandfather had a tabernacle in Indianapolis, and John Maxwell's father, Melvin, preached at my great grandfather's tabernacle
Wow.
many years ago. And so, you always felt like something's pulling you. You always get up and
Hmm.
think, what's this energy? Right? You're an energy girl. What's the
Right.
energy that's pulling me? And so when I connected again the story and the process, I thought, this all makes sense. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is my lane, right? This
Yeah.
is my leadership lane. And so I've just really tuned into it and said, this is my strength zone. This is what I need to be professing. This is how I need to connect to people. And I've just continued to use that throughout my life. It's helped me in my career. It has helped me with job changes that were not my idea, right?
Right. Yeah.
That just happened a couple of years ago that I was like, what do you mean I don't have any value here? What are you talking about?
Right.
But it's how we handle it, right? Because everything in our life is not roses. It's not sunny days and rainbows. It's just not like that. If you can understand how to step into that because of what you've learned and what you've trained yourself in your mindset and the people you surround yourself with, so critical because you just step into the next day and say, okay, what do I need to create to make this a good space for me?
Right.
And because it can go a lot of different ways, right? Things come at us, and if we don't have control over that in our emotions and our
Yeah.
outcomes, things can get really scary. And I've had a lot of friends go through that, but I thought, well, what was different, right? What was different about my journey? Well, a lot, but it was the way I looked at things. It was the faith that my grandparents instilled in me to believe that everything at some point, right? You're going to run into bad situations, but everything will be okay if you have that right mindset. And so that's allowed me to have courage. It's allowed me to have confidence. It's allowed me to have commitment to things in my life and consistency. And so, you know, at 50, I said, I want to get back into journalism. I know I'm in medical for my profession, but I love to connect to people. And so I started this podcast, and it was my 50th year, and my birthday is January 12th coming up. So it was the second week in January, and I had 50 weeks left in that year to celebrate people, to celebrate stories. And that's what connected my heart to start the podcast. And so it started. I had a wonderful first year. We had a leadership summit from it to kind of celebrate all of, the people that could come and celebrate with us. And then in the second year has been this last year in 2019, and it allowed me this first year of consistency, right? So let's talk about that C word, consistency. Doing something for 50 weeks straight
Yeah.
allowed me to say, do I like it? Is it something that I want to continue? I achieved those 50 weeks. And it taught me that, my gosh, this is really opening up to so many more opportunities and giving me clarity.
Right.
So we upgraded equipment. We, started marketing a little bit differently. And I started promoting that this was my heart. This was really my purpose. And it did connect me to people like Lee Cockrell, a retired VP of Disney that came on my show and shared his leadership lessons and just poured out his heart. And I thought, how humbling that was,
Right.
because of all people, right? You think every person in the world, it doesn't matter what they do, they win an Olympic medal and they go, what do you want to do next? I want to go to Disney World.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right? Because that's everybody's happy place. Well, what I realized, and even somebody like Lee Cockrell, right? Somebody like Lee that developed programs about personality testing and how to profile people to give the right customer experience that he expected, his life was not easy. He did not have it so that, oh, well, of course he was chosen to lead Disney World. That wasn't his story. And
Right.
so, and I've read about it, but him telling it was completely different. And you understand that compassion that he had for his mother and who taught him and who influenced him and why it was important for him to create those experiences. And that's what I love about what I'm doing today is, it's giving people the power to have their voice in their story and really listening to who influences them today. And it's so important.
So you profile people all over the spectrum, not just big giant, Lee Cockrells of the world. So what
No.
unusual quality are you finding that leaders have, regardless of their age or their industry or how much their paycheck is, or even if they get a paycheck? What is there something that you're finding that's rising to the top?
Everybody will say it's consistency, right? It's the consistency that you do in your life. And this is so great because, I'm a John Maxwell girl. So the 15 Laws of Growth was the book that I studied every single week when I left the certification training. And that was part of my consistency knowledge, and like, oh my gosh, this does make a huge difference if you just do this every week.
Right.
And so for me, it was these lessons, these 15 laws, these 15 themes mean something, and they meant something to me. And so part of my podcast project, seriously, this is a secret that I've not told a lot of people.
Okay.
But part of it was when I would interview somebody, it was the themes, the questions that John always asked at the beginning of those chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I realized is I didn't do that in the very beginning, but everybody has the same kind of ideas as a leader. So how do you show up? What are your intentions? What have you become aware of? What do
Right.
you need to become aware of? How are you trading off things for your life to make it better, right? What do you contribute to? How do you create significance in the world? Everybody has the same kind of lanes of ideas as leaders because they always want to be a servant leader. They want to be thinking of someone else first. And that's the key. And I recognize it doesn't matter if you're battling a disease, if you're leading a world organization, if you are a single mom with 4 kids trying to get through school, if you, if whatever you're doing, if you drive a boat,
Yeah.
if you're a sailor, if you ski, I don't care what you do. The same concepts is what people believe in their heart. And if you believe in yourself and you believe that you can go through all of these challenges in your life and say, okay, but if I have the right intentions, if I put the right people in my life, if I'm consistent with my beliefs, if I am willing to trade things off and sacrifice and do things for others, you know what? You pretty much are going to be successful in whatever you try to do.
I think that is just some of the most incredible advice. And part of my hope in the work that I'm doing around the Sparkle Factor and the Sparkle Squad is to empower people to do that, which is I'm going to take on a mantle of happiness and joy and sparkle, which automatically means I'm going to let go of something else. And a lot of people don't look at leadership and value in those terms. When you take that on, you got to get rid of something else. And it's a journey, and it's every day, it's decision making, and it's choosing and surrounding yourself not only with people, but what goes in your mind, what you're watching on TV, what you're
With the right
listening
people.
to.
Wait, with the right people, right? Because
Yeah.
you can put people in your life and say, well, I don't want to be isolated.
Right.
So I joined this group, or I went to my family's house because I didn't want to be lonely. But really intentional, right? Chapter 1 of John Maxwell's book,
Yep.
intentionality. Who are those people and what are they adding value to your life, right? It's not
Right.
selfish. It's you need to grow.
Right.
And by doing that, you have to be not the smartest person in the room. You have to want to be challenged all the time.
Yeah, I love that. And so in your tell a little bit about how people could follow you or hear more. I love your podcast, and that's why I wanted to have you on here, because I think it's really infusing a lot of positivity in the world and really good models. So talk to us about how we can find out more.
Thank you. Yes. So my website is everydayleaders.com. So pretty easy, right? Everydayleaders.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go there. There's a podcast page. You can listen to all the podcasts from that site directly. I have a leadership summit coming up in Indianapolis, the 29th of February. So if you're going to be around, I am hosting the second annual.
Yay!
It's awesome. Amazing guests that are going to be talking about infusing leadership values. And the theme is change the world, right?
Oh,
So
love it.
oh, I love it too. I'm super excited. So going to the website, you can contact me for anything. If you have a story and you really have it on your heart that you would love to share your story, you can go to the podcast link down below. You can register. Just let us know what your story is, and we will reach out to you and get you on the schedule. And can I share one more thing?
Yes, absolutely.
So in this, right, the consistency factor for 2 years, we decided that we should take the podcast, not just audio, but we're taking it video.
On the road.
So we invested in an Airstream.
It's so cool. I love it.
That is now the mobile podcast studio. So we're going to be taking it around to different locations and wherever we can go that's safe, that we can get all of the things that we need. But this will be a nice way for us to have a more intimate experience for guests, and then also with the YouTube channel, be able to promote this live feed. So I'm super excited, and maybe we can get to Texas.
Hey, lots of people here, so it would make sense,
I know. So it's just, it's evolving. But like I said, 2 years ago, I had not thought about this whole process of what it was going to turn into. I had the idea that I wanted to do a podcast, and then I wanted to celebrate guests at a summit of some type. But now it's turned into, okay, this is an annual event. Now people are wanting to sponsor, a lot of things that we're doing. And now we have the Airstream. And so things evolve. So don't think that just because you don't have it figured out,
right,
that it can't happen. That's the thing I want to really infuse in people. Do it. Just start doing it.
I think that's a perfect way to end. And my heart is so full. And thank you for saying yes when I reached out to you. Yes. And I hope everybody watching this, whether it's live or replay, I put the website in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, checking this out. And I'm Susanna, the Sparkle Factor, and the lovely Melanie from Everyday Leaders. And we will see you on our next Training Tuesday. Thank you again, Melanie.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.